Okay, cool. Yeah, welcome everyone. Great to see some familiar faces and also some new people as well, which is great. So tonight we're going to be talking about um, taking the leap from rent to rent to buy, refurbish and refinance. This is our first co-living conversion since we started property investing. So very kind of like exciting project for us. And I'm going to take you through it this evening. First of all, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Paul from Blue Oak for putting together the big blue rendezvous. So for those who haven't really come across Blue Oak before, Paul, Andy and Richard have got a great kind of property network that they've set up, and Paul's organised some great talks through this lockdown. So yeah, check them out if you haven't done already. And thanks again to Paul for inviting me here to present to you this evening. Okay. So first of all, our goals on this project, I'll just run through those first, just so you know what we were trying to achieve. Because we wanted to create a high-end co-living house capable of generating £5,000 rental income a month. Which equates to sort of £2,500 to £3,000 cash flow each month. And before we bought it, we forecast that we wanted to get a revaluation of around 750 GDV. We also had to establish C4 use because Article 4 was being introduced to Greenwich, which we didn't know when we first put the offer in and we had the offer accepted. We found out afterwards whilst the legals and the searches were going on. So we had a bit of a race against time to establish C4. Because if we didn't get C4 use established, we probably would have backed out. It would have been too risky a venture to go for. And we wanted to build a side extension, and we wanted to maximize the sort of floor space, create 6 bedrooms, but still have really good sized communal space. Something quite important to us. Obviously, we've got minimum standards, but 6 people living in a house, we will want them to have good communal space as well, because we can maximise the rent we can ask for, but also we know from previous experience with our rent-to-rent business that tenants are likely to stay longer as well. And also, we were looking to raise investor funds to supplement the money that we put into this ourselves. So they were our main goals. So, and yeah, so just before we kind of go into a bit of a deep dive into that project, just a little bit about myself for those who don't know me. And yeah, so I've been an interior designer for 30 years now. Time flies when you're having fun. I've only been 5 years property investing. Started out doing rent-to-rent HMOs. We've now got a couple of HMOs which we own, including the one I'm going to present to you this evening. And also I've got a commercial office space just in the shadows of Tower Bridge in London. So as Paul said earlier, I host Rent to Rent Live, and also love helping investors get a better return on their money. And we've worked closely with investors from the start, really, with our rent to rent business, and also on this co-living project we're talking about this evening. And yeah, I'm on Blue Oak's 12-month expedition, which is an amazing property mentorship. So the guys on Blue Oak have just got such a wealth of knowledge and different skill sets to share with everybody. I'd really urge everyone to kind of make contact with Paul if you don't really know Blue Oak. But yeah, the expedition is fantastic. Met some great people on that. I'm married with a 5-year-old son, so they keep me on my toes, never a dull moment. And we've got one more on the way, which is quite exciting. We're going to have a new member of our family next May. And we live on the Isle of Dogs in East London. So we're kind of surrounded by our properties, investment properties. Everything's within sort of like a 50-minute travel distance, which was quite important for our strategy. And just touching on some of the interior design work that I have done over the last 30 years. Hospitality venues is my kind of specialist area. So anywhere where you can buy a drink, I can design it. Everything from like fast food outlets to five-star hotels to cool cocktail bars. Even down the bottom there, we've done sort of nightclubs in Spain and lap dancing clubs. And one of our more recent projects, this is in Portobello Road. This is Egg Slut, which is a cool Los Angeles concept, which has been brought over here. And yeah, this is kind of like a casual dining concept. We just finished another one off Tottenham Court Road a couple of months ago, and there's more in the pipeline. And yeah, so I thought I'd just mention Red Drink Live while I'm on. Reason, it's not just to give it a plug, but for me, whenever I've spent and dedicated time to networking and helping other people, my businesses I've just kind of jettisoned to a whole new level. So networking's always been an important part of my business, which is why I love networking. And the Rent Live event, I really do miss those days when we were having face-to-face meetings. That bottom right-hand corner view of Tower Bridge, that is actually the view from our event room in Tower Hill. It's pretty cool. And Rich Liddell joined us for our last event in March, which was an amazing evening. So of course we're online now. We're online now tonight. So you know, for every downside there's an upside. We had about 100 people to our last event earlier this month, celebrating our 12th month anniversary, which was really great. So yeah, thankful for everyone I've met through networking. And so yeah, moving on to the project then. Blue Bricks actually did a feature on this project this month, a 5-page feature if anybody reads Blue Bricks magazine. So it's quite a good feature. Not planning to repeat everything that's in there. This evening we'll focus on a few other challenges that I had and some of the successful features that we included. So just to let you know what we started off with, the picture on the left there, that's a semi-detached building, and we bought the left-hand half of that semi-detached house. And then further down the street to the left, you can see there's like a detached pub, and a bit further down there, you've got like a mishmash of different terraced houses. And the reason I'm kind of pointing that out, because the fact we've got lots of different styles of architecture here, kind of played into our hands from a planning perspective, which I'll come on to shortly. And a couple of photos on the right. Yeah, just a typical family house. It was a 3-bed family house, which we purchased. Not bad condition, actually, but we wanted to change it into something different. And, you know, 30 years as an interior designer, I wanted to play client on this project, which was quite exciting. I was going to appoint my own kind of project team, architect, project manager, quantity surveyor, principal, you know, CDM designer. I found a company that was going to take on all those roles. So, which made it a lot more easier. You know, it's not a huge project at the end of the day. We appointed a separate structural engineer, party wall surveyor, and also an approved inspector to take care of the building regulations. Yeah, it didn't quite go to plan. So lost the architect, the project manager, and the quantity surveyor, and the principal designer. So that kind of didn't quite work out. We kind of, how can I put this? We made it through to tender stage, let's put it that way. And then we parted ways because I wasn't getting the service I wanted. And by the time we reached the tender stage, we were looking to get started on site at the beginning of this year. The tenders came back in December last year. And the speed this was going at, it wouldn't have got on site before Easter. So we went separate ways. And unfortunately, I became project manager myself, even though I didn't want to do that. And I actually appointed one of my own quantity surveyors from the restaurant projects I do. And that actually worked out really good in the end, but we'll come on to more of that shortly. So the actual applications we had to apply for, we went for full planning permission because we were going to go for a side extension and alterations. We applied for a HMO license. We had to establish C4 use because Article 4 was coming in quite quickly. And we had party wall consultations to do because of the neighbours, which I'll come on to again shortly. The building regulations, of course, we had to apply for. And actually, one of the last things we did was certificate of lawfulness for C4 use. Once we'd established the use in the first place, I wasn't in so much of a rush to get the certificate of lawfulness. We only kind of needed that for refinancing purposes. Just as well, we wasn't in a rush because they actually refused it the first time around, and they almost refused it the second time. I can only put it down to incompetencies of the planning department. There's nothing more to it than that. Happy to...
offer has been accepted on the property reviewed at the weekend. This is...
Wow, that sounds exciting. Who's got a property they're celebrating? Anyway, yeah, happy to go into more detail on that certificate of lawfulness. If anyone's got any questions on it shortly. But we got it in the end. And just to show you what we went for planning wise, that's the site, and that's the ground floor plan of the existing 3-bedroom house. And that's the side extension that we planned. So we took it really as far out as we could, just over 3 meters wide, just because the boundary was quite narrow at the front. But we took it the full depth of the property because we wanted to just maximize the footprint here. Now, there were some planning considerations we wanted to look at. One of them was I wanted to get planning first time round because basically when I was buying this property, I actually put planning in before we bought it because I wanted to make sure, well, I kind of wanted to reduce my risk. I didn't really want to spend £400,000 on a property and not get the planning permission that I wanted. So it was really important that we kind of looked at, what I looked at is a lot of planning applications on the Greenwich website. You know, what side extensions were being approved and what side extensions were being rejected, because side extensions are not favoured. It's not part of their standard policy. So one of the things we had to do is make sure we didn't take up more than 50% of the garden space. We had to make sure that we didn't exceed half the width of the building, and we had to set back the front of the extension slightly from the main front building. So the extension had to look smaller in scale to the main building in kind of design kind of purposes. So so we got planning for that anyway. And then later on, I actually put a second application in to see if we could just pull that front wall level with the front of the house. But they wouldn't accept that. They kind of refused that. So we just stuck with our original planning approval. Okay, and party wall awards we had to get because of our neighbours. So, you know, I mentioned the pub earlier in that first photo. So the orange kind of triangle on the left, that's the neighbouring pub. And at the back, the top triangle, there's like an electrical substation at the back. And the reason the party wall was triggered, not because we're kind of building on their land, but we're building an extension within 3 meters of their boundary. And that's what triggers the party wall notifications. So we had a party wall surveyor contact the neighbours, and I think we give them 14 days to respond. They can either accept it or you need to go into further kind of consultations. So yeah, I must admit it was more expensive than we originally thought, the party wall side of things. So the pub is like a leasehold pub. So they had a leasehold award we had to get, then we had the freeholder award, and then you had the substation at the back, and they had their own surveyor as well. So there's three lots of surveyors and 3 different party wall awards required. And it cost us about £6,500 in total, which is not money we'd budgeted for. I think I'd budgeted a couple of grand for that at the start. So, I mean, you know, it wouldn't have stopped us buying the house, but you know, it would have been a bit less of a shock had we known that from the start. Also, anyone doing party wall awards, this went on forever. So I think actually we didn't get the awards until the new year. So That went on for about 5 months. Bit painful, but we got there in the end, which is the main thing. So that's the front elevation, and that's the semi-detached building, and our house is the one on the left, number 52. And you'll see the side extension going up there. So you can see it's clearly set back from the main building, slightly smaller in scale, and the ridge height of the roof is slightly low as well. The dormer window as well at first floor, and that had to be smaller in scale. These are all the things we picked up from the planning policy. So we kind of built all this into the design just so we can get planning permission first time round. Okay, don't know if I know everyone's muted at the moment. I don't know if there are any questions at this stage on the local authority applications or.
I've got one from Lydia there, mate.
Yeah.
So hi Steve, why did they refuse almost twice for the certificate of lawfulness?
Yeah, good question. So I did quite a lot of due diligence on certificate of lawfulness, even before we bought the property, because I knew what was going to come. Obviously, you have to provide evidence that you've established C4 use. You know, it has to be used as a HMO before Article 4 comes in, and you have to show evidence to prove that. So we got 3 or 4 tenants in. I think the 4th tenant moved in 2 days before Article 4 came in. But the main criteria is you need a minimum of 3 unrelated tenants. So we got them in sort of like 2 or 3 days before Article 4 came in. And looking on the website for Greenwich, reasons why they were approving certificate of lawfulness, often it was ASTs and like an affidavit from the actual landlord, which is like a sworn statement in front of the solicitor. So we put the application in for certificate of lawfulness. Sorry, actually, I didn't do the sworn statement. We first of all, we just put the ASTs in, and they didn't give us any notification. We just refused it. We said, no, we need more evidence than that, and we want a sworn statement from you. So I did a sworn statement on the 2nd application. That was it. Submitted the 2nd application, and they did the normal advertising, 21-day advertising, and got to the point where they were going to make the decision. And the planning officer said, oh yeah, they're going to recommend it for approval. So on the day it was due to be signed off, I got another phone call while I was in Dubai, saying, oh no, we're going to refuse it this afternoon. And like, I just couldn't believe it, 2nd time round. So the reason being this time is there was a different property manager in place this time. And they said, no, we want sworn statements from all your tenants as well who were living there at the time, even though they told me different the first time round. So they changed the story. Each person's got a different point of view in the planning department. So luckily we still had 2 tenants living with us who were there originally. And, you know, credit to them, within 3 days, they'd gone to the solicitor for these sworn statements. I'd emailed them to the planning officer, and they eventually just signed it off. But just, yeah, Lydia, it's, I think each planning department maybe views this in a different way. So, you know, the information I put in front of them initially, but they're not supposed to question whether the information you give them is legitimate or not. But they obviously questioned it, because that's why the first time we refused it, and we were going to refuse it a 2nd time. So does that answer your question? Sorry, it's a bit long-winded story, that.
Perfect, no, thank you.
Cool.
And then I've just got one more, Steve, before you move on, mate. So David's asking, what do you mean by establish C4 use?
Yeah, so that's a good point. So, I mean, for those who don't know, C3 is like a family house. We've got, you know, got a related family living in the house. C4 is where you've got 3 or more unrelated people living in a house. So that's like a HMO basically. And the way you establish C4 use, there's 2 ways. You can go for a formal planning application, which you have to do in Article 4 anyway. You just apply for a change of use to C4. That's one way of doing it. But normally, where there's no Article 4, you can actually go from C3 family house to C4 HMO just literally by moving in 3 unrelated tenants. Yeah, you don't need to apply for it. It's just an automatic transition from C3 to C4. So you put those 3 unrelated tenants in there. You know, I'd suggest you put them on ASTs and get the evidence. As soon as you do that, that establishes C4 use. Just like you can't do that in Article 4. Article 4 blocks that transition from C3 to C4. Does that make sense? I hope so. Any more questions there, Paul? Or any more come back on that one?
David says, thanks, Steve. And Lydia's just got one more there, mate, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So just another question about party wall agreement. Is that 3 metre to the boundary for double story or for a single story extension too?
I believe it is any extension. Don't quote me on that 100%, but it's my understanding it's if you're digging foundations and footings within 3 meters, I believe that triggers it.
3 meters from the boundary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's worth just double checking that with a party wall surveyor. I mean, you know, they won't charge you for asking the question, but yeah, I think it's just any story extension. Yeah.
And just one more, sorry, mate.
That's okay. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So why do the neighbours have to know the planning permission?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Why do the neighbours have to know about the planning permission?
Why do they need to know about the planning permission?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I quite understand the question, but usually when you put a planning application into the council, there's a 21-day period where they'll do consultations, and part of that is to notify the neighbours that you're doing changes, just in case they want to object to it or, you know, make any representations. So I'm not sure if that's what the question was related to. Okay. Hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah, I think we're good, mate.
Okay, cool. We'll move on. Just drop any questions into the chat box anytime. We're going to talk a little bit about the design and construction phase. So there'll be a chance for more questions as well as we move on. So with any of my projects, I've got 3 design principles, and I've kind of like built the foundations of these principles from my interior design career. So the primary principle is functionality. You know, whatever we do, it's got to be fit for purpose. It's got to be practical. There's no point having something that looks, oh, wow, amazing, if it's not fit for purpose. And then the second principle is atmosphere. So, you know, we want to try and create the right ambience and atmosphere for the interior. Lighting plays a big part of that, and choice of materials and colours do as well. And then thirdly, it's personality. So we want to create an interior that's got character, you know, that's going to be memorable with the people using it, or in this case, you know, memorable for the tenants who are living there. And the personality for us comes through in the artwork and the materials and the fabrics. So everything we do, we kind of relate back to these principles as like a sensor check. And so just looking at some design development then, this is the ground floor of the property again. So we've got the kitchen at the bottom, we've got the dining room in the middle, and the lounge at the top. And our plan was to combine the kitchen and dining room together, and then retain the lounge, like you see there. And we also formed a corridor through to the new extension on the left. So ground floor extension houses 2 ensuite bedrooms. And then part of the design process, the engineer then layers things like all the drainage and foundation design onto those drawings. There's a couple of photos there just showing the footings are being excavated and getting ready for drainage to go in. But one of the hurdles we hit early on in, if anybody remembers February this year, I do, because it was a wet month, and we lost a week or 2 straight away at the start of the project just because of the torrential, you know, rain we were getting in London, and COVID just gave us no chance of catching that up in the end. But yeah, there's the extension that's going up. This was one of my site visits with my project manager's hat on. I was actually pleasantly surprised to see how quickly this wall went up, which was good. We seemed to make quite good progress at this stage of the build. But then I started looking a little bit closer, and you can just on the left, you can see the insulation popping up there in the cavity wall. Wasn't sure what it was at first, but something just didn't seem right. So I just got a little bit closer and looked around the outside of the extension, and just the workmanship just looked a bit shoddy to me. We didn't have a clear cavity on the outside of the insulation where it should be. You can see there's gaps on the right of the insulation there. Then I realized I wasn't even using the correct insulation that had been specified. And just the more I looked into it, it just seemed like a bit of a bad job, which so my heart sank. I had a chat with the contractor, and to be fair to him, he just said, look, we're not happy with this team of bricklayers. We're going to knock all this down and start again. Credit to them, they did, which was good. Yeah, that was another shot. So that's inside the cavity wall. The cavity wall ties were not kind of fitted properly either. So this is a lot more how it should have been. So you see there's a gap there between the block work on the left and the insulation, which is like the air gap in the cavity. With this design, it's only 10 mil. I appreciate, it's small. It's not easy to create a 10 mil cavity in a wall like this, but should at least be making an effort and using the right specifications. And in fact, here is the right insulation board. It should also be taped, as it's shown there, the red tape, which we didn't have before. And we've also got the wall ties with proper red spaces on there as well. So you can try and achieve that clear cavity. So here we're kind of getting back on track now. That's just a close up there. You can see the red discs. That's to try and maintain that air gap. So fortunately, I was actually doing my project management role. I'm not a project manager, but I do think a lot of it is common sense. If you ask the right questions and just be inquisitive, don't be afraid to ask questions, and also use your team. I was looking at what was on site and sending photos to my QS, my engineer, and also the installation supplier, the blockwork supplier, and constantly getting feedback from all these people just to make sure we was on track. So this is one of the drawings. This is a structural engineer's drawing, and we've just got the beams going on there and structural info. That's how that was translating to site. So on the left photo, you'll see we've got two steel girders sticking out the wall. And that's quite an important design feature I wanted, because that means we're not going to have a loft in the extension. We're just going to take the ceilings right up into the ridge, which I'll show you shortly why we did that. Then I developed lighting layout designs, the electrical layout. Every single light point is on here, every single socket, all the lighting circuits, all planned and designed in advance of getting on site and getting on tender. Then we've got an extract here from the finishes, drawings and specs. So you can see clearly different floor finishes there. We also put the wall features on as well. And at the same time, we're doing the design pack. We're choosing the actual materials as well. So we've got some floor and wall tiles there and different timber cladding and laminate flooring. And then moving upstairs, this is the first floor of the house. So on the bottom there, you've got the large bedroom 1, and at the top, you've got 2 small doubles, bedroom 2 and 3. So the plan was keep bedroom 1, we'll just add an ensuite in there because it's quite big. And then bedroom 2 and 3 will combine into one large ensuite, kind of mirrors bedroom 1 in effect. And the bathroom in the centre there, we'll get rid of that, and that's the corridor through to the extension. We've got a little bit less space upstairs in the extension, so these are not ensuite, they kind of share a house bathroom in the middle. And again, we obviously do the lighting design and electrical layouts for the first floor as well. I mean, just going back to that, I know we've got some site photos mixed in with these slides, but the design is kind of fully like 95% completed before we get on site. just so you know, even though these are mixed up a little bit on this presentation. I just think the more you're able to finalize before you go for pricing, competitive pricing, you know, the less chance there is for change and for costs to kind of go up. And this is quite cool. So this is a section through the extension. This is one of the architect's drawings, builder's work drawings. There's a couple of reasons why I wanted to show you this section. First reason is those arrows are pointing to, normally that's where the ceiling would be with the loft above. So, you know, I didn't want that. We've got the two smallest rooms in the house, and I wanted to, how can I make them feel bigger and also create more storage space? So that photo on the left shows how it's developing on site. And you've got the stud work going in there. That's forming the bathroom, and you can see above there that ceiling height is going to be like almost twice the height of the ceilings. In fact, on the left there, you can see the old pebble dash walls as well on the outside of the buildings, which were just awful on the side elevation and back elevation. So we got rid of that as well. Also on the ground floor, we could do a similar thing. We're fortunate we had ceilings over 3 meters high. So we put flat tops on the en-suites, on the ground floor bedrooms. So we could create extra storage up there. That's another site photo. Just see the plasterboards have just gone in, and you can just see above the door on the left, additional storage space. It's probably about, you know, 1/2 meter high. You know, it's good for putting suitcases up there, boxes and things like that. Good extra storage. And then we kind of take those sections and we kind of render them up. This is part of our interior design process. So we've layered on here the fitted wardrobes and cupboards. We've got the timber wall cladding behind all the beds. We've got the wall tiling in the bathrooms. You know, we've got the lighting, we've got the planting, we've got artwork. So this is where we're fine-tuning all the design at our design stage, you know, before contractors even get near to pricing it. And that's how that translated to being built on site. So the small window in the middle there, that's the bathroom window. And over to the left is the front bedroom. You can kind of see the smaller dormer we had to have for planning. That kind of cuts into that room a little bit. Whereas on the right-hand bedroom, we could have a wider dormer because the planners are less interested in that, which was good. And then if we just look at a little bit more detail in that front bedroom again, I can just show you now a finished photo of how that turned out. I was quite pleased with that actually. That was actually the smallest bedroom in the house, but because of the way we designed it and we had the extra head height, it feels, you know, a lot bigger than it actually is. So that was a good result. And then if we just take a look at the right-hand bedroom on the first floor, bedroom 5. Similar kind of application, but because we didn't have a dormer cutting through that bedroom, we've got like an up and over wardrobe with cupboards above, which is really good. So that's kind of like it. And again, it's a huge success that. I'm in the bedroom now. You can probably see it behind me. It's quite cool. Okay, and yeah, probably just talk about a couple of the enhanced specifications that we did on the project. So with the insulation in the walls and the roof, we wanted to go above and beyond what the building regulations specify. Just because we're holding this project, this property for the long term. So we're just conscious and thinking ahead as well about, you know, energy bills. And it's quite interesting, even the contractor commented on this before he'd finished the project, how good the insulation was. We had some really, you know, warm days through the summer, and he commented how cool it was keeping the building. So that was quite good. It's not, you know, people think about insulation and, oh yeah, it's going to keep the house nice and warm, you know, in the winter. But in the summer, it can kind of counter that effect and keep the house nice and cool. So that was quite good. And we used Kingspan insulation in the walls and also the main insulation in the roof. which was quite good. They do some really, really good spec installations. And then that's dressed underneath with another kind of foil type insulation, which I've never seen before actually. Apparently it's quite common in roof conversions. And that was built up of about 12 different layers of foil with different materials in between. It's quite high tech. And that's a spec we actually had to change on site because we couldn't get the original spec one because of lockdown and certain suppliers were closed. So in fact, getting hold of a Kingspan installation wasn't easy. Probably lost a few days trying to source that. And also we decided to just rip out the old boiler, you know, it's a boiler for a 3-bed family house. We're going to a 6-bed ensuite HMO. So we went for a new Worcester Bush boiler system. It's one of their new lifestyle boilers. And spoke to quite a lot of people on boilers because that's I think probably the most important element of the property moving forwards. And had some good conversations with Jim Halliburton, for those who know the HMO daddy. He's got lots of experiences with HMOs. And so he kind of helped to specify that. Worcester Bosch says it's difficult to go wrong with that. And we upgraded for the magnetic filter, which I think is still on the box on top of the boiler in this photo, but that fits underneath. And also because we used a Worcester Bosch registered engineer as well, so that they were the 3 main components. I think it's like 12-15 year warranty on the boiler. It's one of the highest you can get on the market. And I didn't think it's not a badly priced boiler. I think we got it for about 875, 900 quid. So that was quite good. But that kind of works in tandem with a hot water cylinder, which we put upstairs in one of the cupboards. That's a Gladial 300 litre cylinder. So we just wanted to make sure we had more than enough capacity for sort of 4 en-suites, plus a house bathroom, and everything else that goes on in HMOs. So we're 3 months in now, and you know we've had nothing but really good feedback on the boiler and the water and heating. So far that looks like a good result. And actually, I don't think I've included it in my slides. We've also got one of these thermostats, which is, we can actually control it remotely if we like. But you know, we haven't had to. You've got like a winter setting and a summer setting. It works on Wi-Fi, and it just controls all the timings and everything for you. It's really, really good. It's worth looking into. And if anyone wants details, I'm happy to share that. Some other cool design features we went for the Yale Digilocks, smart locks on all the bedroom doors. So probably wasn't that cheap, about 90 quid each, plus the Yale lock on the back. And you know, again, we're holding the property long term, so we wanted to make it a bit more upmarket. And it you know, it does feel that using these locks is pretty smart in itself. Gives you that extra, you know, feeling of a quality home that you're living in. Plus, I like this one. You know, we're not going to get tenants phoning us in the middle of the night saying, "Oh, I've lost my door key to the bedroom, we can't get in." So they've got a fob, but also they've got a digicode, which is good. And if they lose the front door key, well, they've got 5 other tenants they live with, haven't they? We can phone them first. That's the plan anyway. And yeah, we always go for the fastest internet in all our properties. I'm fortunate to have Virgin Fibre. So we go for 500 megabit broadband fibre, which is really good. We normally upgrade where we can to the Virgin Business service as well. It's a little bit extra, not much, but we just find it's a really enhanced customer service from Virgin. And we usually get a faster response time as well, which is so key. I mean, you know, anybody who manages property, if the internet goes down in your HMO, heavens forbid, you know, that's the worst thing that could ever happen. Yeah, COVID is nothing. Yeah, if the internet goes down, you'll know about it. And so we actually turned this into quite a large house. So we've installed a Netgear Wi-Fi extender as well. Did quite a lot of research into mesh Wi-Fi and different things. What this gives is, this actually gives us 300 megabit download speed in the whole house. It's incredible. Obviously the 500 megabit broadband contributes to that massively. Also in every bedroom, we've got these white LAN sockets. So they can just plug their laptops and devices straight into the socket in their bedroom. And that gives them near as 500 megabit download speed. And yeah, in 3 months, we've had no issues with that. That's like just so fast compared to, you know, what most landlords can offer. Which again gives us another edge really on the marketing perspective. You know, there's not many landlords can advertise these sort of speeds. So one thing we found through lockdown is there's been certainly a lot less tenants moving home. So there's less tenants on the market. So we're always looking for ways on how can we kind of, you know, stand out from the competition. And this is one of the ways we can do that with this particular property. And yeah, I mentioned we've got workstations in every bedroom, which is, you know, we've got the luxury to be able to do that with the size of these bedrooms, but a couple of rooms are quite small. But from the outset, we were determined to put desks in here and put a full suite of furniture. So this was even before COVID. I mean, now it's like, you know, it's people working from home. It's the minimum you've got to have, isn't it? But we kind of planned that from the start anyway. And yeah, so that's the ground floor, new ground floor back bedroom, similar to the first floor one you saw earlier. But probably one of the biggest design feature wins for us on this project was the storage. So, I mean, we always go for IKEA beds where you've got plenty of storage space under the bed for a start off. You know, I don't understand the beds where they're just all solid and you can't store things underneath. But we've got fitted wardrobes on this project. But also we've got fitted cupboards which go over the top of all the beds as well. Plus on this, we've got extra storage space on top of those cupboards and wardrobes, and also on top of the en-suites. So that was one of the big reasons why all the tenants took the rooms. They all commented on the storage. And we calculated we've probably got almost double the amount of storage you'd normally get in a bedroom, just by introducing these design features. Which is pretty good.
Steve, just before you move on, can I just catch up on a few questions here, mate?
Oh yeah, sure, go for it.
So Melinda's saying, please share the boiler and control stroke thermostat. Rachel is asking, who supplied your fitted wardrobes and what were costs like per bedroom?
Yeah, good point. So yeah, happy to share the spec on the boiler system. If you forget, maybe you can just ping me a message, but I will endeavour to do that quite quickly. And so yeah, with the wardrobes, it's a company called Fittingly. So just Google them, Fittingly. I mean, we've got a great result. It was quite a painful exercise to get there in the end. What can I say about Fittingly? So price per room kind of ranged, I think, between about £850 and about £1,100 per room. So that's supply only. That's supply flat packed. So our contractor put it together. So you've got additional fitting costs, which I think was about 400 quid a room. So, you know, it adds up. If you weigh it up against like just buying like an IKEA wardrobe, we might spend just a few hundred quid on a standard wardrobe. It's a lot more than that. But we're creating design features here, and we're holding it for the long term. So we took a totally different approach to what we do with our rent-to-rent projects, where it's just, you know, practical and on a budget. You know, here, don't get me wrong, it's not 5-star, but the fitted wardrobes do cost a little bit more. And yeah, you know, I guess you've got to give some of these suppliers a bit of leeway because of COVID, but we did struggle to get them on time. It took quite a number of weeks, and not all the parts fitted as they should have done. There was a couple of things that the contractor had to do on site. I think if you go into it kind of knowing some of these issues and being prepared, it's quite a good solution. You know, it's pretty much made bespoke to our dimensions. So in that respect, it was quite a good solution.
Cheers, mate. And who designed it? Does the architect get involved in the location plan, the block plan, and the floor plans and elevation?
So, I mean, I drew the floor plans, the external elevations myself, because I can't help myself. I kind of do all this when I'm putting an offer in. You know, if I'm pretty certain we're going to get an offer accepted, I kind of do all that myself, because I want to visualize what's this thing going to be. So I kind of do all that, and then I use that to pass on to the architects to help brief them. You know, the block plan, you just get a site plan off site, sort of the block plan, and then the architect, I think, developed them the site plan. The engineer developed the drainage layouts and the structural details. The architect then did like the building regs drawings. He did the initial section through that I showed you, but then my design team kind of coloured all that up and rendered it and put all the finishing touches on it. So I did all the interior design, all the lighting, the electrics, all the finishes, all the layouts, all the internal wall elevations.
Perfect, mate. And Rachel's asking, hi Steve, did you run the Ethernet cable behind the internet access sockets, and how was it connected up?
So, I mean, because we're building an extension and quite an extensive refurb of the existing, all the cables were hidden in the walls, which was quite good. With the existing, we didn't go back to brick, and we didn't need to, because it was previously, well, originally it was a commercial, like a doctor's surgery, before it was converted into a semi-detached house. So the main structure of the building, the existing building was like really, really good, really sound. But yeah, all the Ethernet cables we kind of hid as we were building it. I think if I was going to do like a retro refurb, only like a light refurb, if you can, I would still look at, you know, seeing if you can hardwire that in. You'll be surprised how many places you can hide cables. And where you can, I would just put it in trunking. You know, I hate seeing surface mounted cables and that, but sometimes if you put trunking in the same color as your walls, it's, you know, most of the tenants are not going to notice it. If you do a combination of hiding some cables and maybe some in trunking, I still think it's worth the investment. Just because, I mean, I'm not kidding, we're getting 500 meg download speeds. It's brilliant. Really good. Oh, we went for Cat 6 cabling as well. I researched that just to try and future-proof it. You know, five kind of like Cat 5 is probably suitable for most internet connections now. But who's to say in sort of 5-10 years time where we're going to be? So we kind of just went up slightly to Cat 6 cabling, and it's, you know, not much difference in price.
Spot on, mate. Lee's asking, how do they get up there to access the storage?
Yeah, it's a good point. So we've got some like mini step ladders. So they're not full ladders, they're kind of mini steps. So it's easy for, you know, we're not expecting people to climb up there. That'd be a bit dangerous, but, you know, they can put suitcases up there. Some tenants have got like loads of boxes, storage boxes. So we've just got the storage boxes up there. So yeah, it's just, it is accessible.
Yeah,
So,
and the last one, David saying, hi Steve, who was the seller? What was the negotiation process like to you offer subject to planning? I'm saying, assume that, did you offer subject to planning?
So I didn't mention it actually, but the other half of the semi-detached house, that actually belongs to my best friend. He was best man at my wedding. So we leased that from him. That's one of our rent-to-rent properties. which is quite good. And we've got another couple like opposite down the next street. So we're regulars to that area. We know it really well. And so just one day we just saw a purple bricks for sale sign up in the house next door. And I think at this time I was looking up in the northwest and Derby, just looking at different commercial to resi opportunities. But then this popped up. We thought, oh yeah, we'd love to buy property in London, but we weren't sure if we could afford it or not. I forget what it was on the market for originally. We paid $440 for it. I think it might have been on the market for $465, something like that. But what we discovered is through the process of doing viewings and asking the right question, we found out the sale had fallen through twice previously. So it was a bit of a distressed seller, and she'd already moved out like months ago. So my mate had his house valued at 600, 12 months previous. So we got ours. Don't get me wrong, we're kind of right next to a pub, so that might have an impact on the value. But for us, that it's a HMO, so we wasn't too bothered with that. We got it at a really good price. We didn't do purchase subject to planning. That wasn't really an option. They just wanted an unconditional sale, which is why I did like an early planning process with Greenwich. So initially my plan was to do like a, what is it? Pre-app, that's it. It's getting late, I'm all zoomed out. I was going to try and put like a pre-app into the planners, because it's under the radar, isn't it? A pre-app doesn't get advertised. But Greenwich just said, no chance. We're not doing any pre-apps for residential. We're way too busy. We've got Article 4 coming in. It's like, what? Article 4? Okay. So I just put a planning application in, basically. And I think I'm pretty sure we got planning before we completed, or they said it was being recommended for approval. One of those two. I met the planning officer on site during the site visit. So I always try and meet a planning officer when they do the site visit, just because you can learn so much more from the process and where it's likely to go, even though they don't like it. I always try and set up the meeting. And also there were actually a couple of objections from the neighbours at the back. They were concerned with rights of light, rights of privacy, and which was a joke. The planning officer in the garden, and I knew full well who'd objected, even though they can't tell you. And she just says, oh yeah, you can't see any neighbours, can you? And I said, no, you can't. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
And then Helen's just asking, is there weight restrictions on the storage areas, mate? And then that's the last one.
No, there isn't. We kind of beefed that up, so you could literally have a party up there. Not until we come out of lockdown. If any of my tenants are watching, they're fully aware they're not allowed to have any guests in the house, even though I'm not sure that's actually happening. But anyway, oops, are we recording this?
Yeah.
You can have a party up there, Paul, let's put it that way. Yeah, any other questions at this stage?
We're up to date there, mate.
Cool. Yeah, any more questions, drop them in the box. Haven't got too much more to go, actually, I don't think. Oh yeah, the light bulb moment. I got stopped in my tracks. So reason I've put this on here really is because lighting is like the most important parts of all my design schemes, probably more so when I'm designing restaurants or bars or hotels. I don't usually design residential stuff, so this is a little bit different, but I still wanted lighting to have an impact, because that's the atmosphere. Yeah, the second design principle is lighting. So I hate just having spotlights everywhere, so I want to create some low level lighting as well, because that's what's going to create the ambience. So we had kind of feature cage pendants in the stairwells and some of the bedrooms, and we had feature standard lamps on the left there in the lounge area, and we had a couple of different types of bedside table lamps as well, just to mix up the variation of light and interest. And in fact, in the stairwells, we had movement detector sensors in the ceilings. So all the entrance areas, corridors, and stairwells, they kind of come on when they sense movement, which is quite good. First time I've used it, and that's worked really well. We've got them on 2 circuits, like the first floor and the ground floor kind of comes on separately. So, and yeah, back onto the design development as well. So on the left there, that's just kind of the material palette is evolving. And also we've got some materials there, some fabrics, sorry. I think this is like some different dress cushions we got from Sweden, just to enhance the kind of, you know, the Scandinavian, it's not a Scandinavian style, it's kind of Scandinavian influenced interior design scheme we went for. And you can see there, like the direction we're heading in with the artwork. You know, we've got quite neutral walls and decor, so we want to introduce some character here and some colour. And we probably had this is just a snapshot. We probably had like over 100 pieces of artwork and accessories. The middle pieces of artwork you can see there's kind of more vibrant. There's a bit more going on. That's in the communal areas. And then in the bedrooms and the bathrooms, the colours and the content is a little bit more kind of calming and muted. You know, planting was a big part of this scheme. You know, we've got hanging plants. We've got quite a lot of planting in all the spaces really. So, you know, London's a busy place. You know, it can be quite fast-paced lifestyle. So we wanted like a calm oasis for, you know, for tenants to come home to and chill out and kind of zone out in the house. There's a couple of the finished photos there, just showing how we applied some of the artwork and accessories. You've got the lounge on the left there, and we've got the stairwell on the right, along with a notice board. Then a couple of before and after photos. So that's the original house kitchen, family kitchen, and that's what we transformed it into. So initially we're going to keep some of the existing cabinets, but you know, it's like you kind of refurb a property and everything's new, and the thing that you kept often looks like a bit of a, you know, it kind of sticks out. So quite early on, actually, we decided to change all the kitchen cabinets, and we went to Magnet because we're part of LMPG. So we got the cabinets. We got quite a good deal on the worktops and cabinets from Magnet. I think we paid about £3,500 supply price, and then our contractor fitted them. And then the wall tiles we got from one of my commercial suppliers, just kind of enhances that Scandinavian feel. And then this was the rear garden. That's obviously whilst we're on site, it's a bit of a mess there. This is worth kind of pointing out, really. I mentioned about the pebble dash wall, which was like looked quite depressing, which was wrapped around the side and back of the house originally. So we changed this. The new finish on the back and sides was going to be like a waterproof render system. So you've got the guys here just applying it now, and they kind of apply it in about 3 or 4 different layers, which is quite interesting. But it's a waterproof system that can be washed down, and it looks pretty cool. It's a good system. It's not particularly cheap. People paid about 6.5, 7 grand for it in total. It's a good specification. And there's the finished kind of back garden. So we just wanted something that was low maintenance. It's actually quite a good sun trap out the back there, which is good. And you know, the white render kind of reflects what we're doing with it inside of the decor. And the extensions, the far right, you can see the dormer on the top and the single window below. That's where the extension is, just to the right of that drain pipe. And okay, so I've got like a 2 to 3 minute tour. I thought I'd share with you, just so you can see the rest of the property. So this is the rest of the kitchen. So we've got table and benches there for 6 people. In fact, that glass screen there was previously the dining room door, which we kept, made it into a featured glass panel. This is the new corridor we created, which goes through into the ground floor of the extension. So this is bedroom 1. See, we've got the up and over wardrobe units and cupboards, the timber cladding, and there's the ensuite with the storage space on top. We fitted extra large shower cubicles in all the bedrooms and also extra large tiles. So you've got minimized the number of grout joints we've got, which is just easier to keep clean. This is the back bedroom. There's the workstation there that we mentioned before. Feature pendant bedside table. And all the en-suites, actually, we've just done the same spec everywhere. Same tiles, same sink, same toilets. And this is going through into the lounge. So originally those 2 doors were actually windows. So we converted those into doors, just to let more light in there, make it more pleasant, and a closer relationship to the garden space. All new flooring in here, new lighting, new notice boards, got new carpets going upstairs. So a lot of feedback we get on this interior is it's quite homely as well, just the way we've designed the decor and carpeting. So this was actually 2 small doubles upstairs. So we knocked out the wall in between the windows and knocked this into 1 large room, put the timber cladding in. This is the ensuite on the right. Heated towel rails in each of the bathrooms. It's almost like a boutique hotel standard, but without the cost. It's quite, we've been quite clever with, we have worked to a budget on this project. Hasn't been like an open checkbook. So, and you'll see here, this is the room that I'm in now, with the ceiling height goes right up to the ridge. And then this is the shared house bathroom. We put like an L section shower bath in, which is quite good. And this is the front bedroom. See how that dormer cuts into that space lit, but I think it's only me that notices these things. And we've got the extra storage space, of course, on top of the bathroom there. Got the digilocks on the doors. Past the cylinder cupboard. This was originally a large bedroom anyway. So we put the ensuite in there, timber cladding, fitted wardrobes, and new lighting. Most of the lighting in the house, we just went point to the original light points. Actually, this was created with Matterport, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen before. It's pretty cool. I think it was less than £300 to get this done, which is pretty good. You get a set of photos from it, plus you've got the walkthrough. And here's back out to the rear garden again. That's the front, before the builders had cleared all the mess off site. I think that might be the final picture there. So yeah, the extension's on the left. And I think the contractors did quite a good job actually matching the brickwork up to the original. It's a pretty close match. So yeah, really pleased with that outcome. And just before we come to the numbers then, I don't know if there's any further questions, Paul, at this stage, or if anyone's got anything they'd like to know about design or construction stage.
Got loads, mate. Stand by. Stand by. Did you use commercial lighting supplies that are used in your hospitality projects? That's Melinda. Yeah, so for some of them, for some cage pendants, the metal black cage pendants were one of my commercial suppliers. Also, we had like hidden LED strip lights on top of all the wardrobes. That was from one of my suppliers, who actually donated them for free, which was a really nice gesture. So there was some timber thin pendants. I think I got them through a website called Etsy. They came from Greece. And some of the lights are from IKEA. Some of the bedside table lights we already had. I think IKEA is one of our favorite go-to shops, but this was a little bit different. So it was a bit of a mix and match. So yeah, a bit of both. Some of my original suppliers and some kind of new. Cool. Where did you get the artwork from, mate? Well, do you know?
I'm a bit of a stickler for detail, as you might have gathered. So I probably went to about 6 or 7 artwork companies, and it was quite a long process because every picture, I wanted to choose every picture and get the theming right and everything. So I just went online, really. All the suppliers were new to me. I'm happy to share the links when I share the boiler stuff, because I can't remember them all off the top of my head. One was from Germany. I think 1 or 2 were from the UK. So yeah, new suppliers. And I just found that going to one supplier, I didn't have the variation of artwork I wanted. I didn't want to go to, some of the high street stores, because everybody's seen their stuff. So I wanted this to be quite unique and a bit personalized.
Yeah. What flooring did you use throughout the ground floor, mate?
So in the kitchen, we used one of my commercial tile suppliers, actually. It was like a stone effect tile, the same flooring that we used in the bathrooms, except in the bathrooms we used a smaller tile, and in the kitchen it's a bigger space, we used a large square format. And then for the main, for the lounge areas and the corridors, we used a laminate flooring from Tappy carpets. I changed the spec halfway through because we were using the carpets from Tappy. I was just in their warehouse and I saw this laminate floor that I really liked. I'm just gonna be interested to see how long it lasts, because when I actually saw it, I wouldn't say it's the best quality stuff. But it looks good, and we'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, Tappy carpets.
Tappy carpets. Is card machine, e.g. Grossmith Technology HID, allowed in a HMO property where anyone can access their rooms by using the card?
I'm sorry. I'm not sure what the Grosvenor technology is. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe if you want to unmute yourself and just elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Is it Olerunk?
Yep. While she's unmuting, Melinda's saying, do you miss the pads on mirrors? Question mark. No,
we haven't done that, but I do like it. I think Premiering, is it? They've got them, which are pretty cool. But no, I didn't even think of it, to tell you the truth. It was on my list when I was thinking of doing property a few years ago, but we didn't do demister pads.
Can we put underfloor heating in a HMO property instead of a traditional radiator?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah. Bathroom, are they tiles or panels?
Oh yeah, tiles. So it's quite large tiles. They're about 600 long by about 300 high. My original design, when I just did my quick design in my head before we bought it, was like the classic white London brick tiles. But by the time I got to designing this properly, I'm just sick to death of seeing that. So I wanted, to be honest, we changed the theme. We were going to go for a bit more of a Scandinavian influence theme, and it was going to be like this cool, calming oasis. So the white kind of brick tiles. We had too much white in the property, so I wanted to go for these stone kind of look tiles, but the quite large format tiles, and the grout joints like the smallest grout joint you can get.
Yeah.
So for maintenance, it's quite good.
Cool. Lee's asking, how long did you spend in the design planning before you went out to tender?
Yeah, so it's good question, Matt. I mean, this is not probably a typical workflow on this project, because we bought it in September 2018 and we got it tenanted straight away, just so we can justify, so we can establish C4 use. So it wasn't until the spring or the following summer that I actually appointed the architects to start churning out the building regs and the proper design details. So we had like a bit of a gap there. So it's really difficult to say. We spent from the summer till the end of the year when the tenders came back. That was kind of like the design and tender process. It took 6 months, which, for a job this size is ridiculous. We tender £1 million, sort of like restaurant projects in like 2 to 3 weeks the contractor has to price, and we probably do the whole thing within sort of like 4 months. So it's one of the reasons why I kind of parted company with the some of the project team.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so yeah, it's difficult to answer that. How long did it actually take? Hope that goes somewhere to answering that question.
Cool, thanks, Steve. Melinda's saying she's worked in the hotel industry and she knows loads of suppliers for artwork schemes. I don't know if you want to share us some of those suppliers, Melinda, and we'll pass it around. Carly says, looks great, Steve. Susie, the level of detail is amazing, well done. Yeah, really much smart, Steve, and great plan and design work, Steve. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome, thank you. Yeah, it's a good point actually, Melinda, because usually on our commercial projects, we'll just appoint like an artwork supplier, and we'll discuss with them the theme that we want, and you know they'll go off and they'll choose all the individual pieces 9 times out of 10, and they'll do the install as well. On this one, we were kind of in middle lockdown as well, and so were a lot of our artwork suppliers. So I kind of just wanted to do a different approach on this one. But yeah, usually on our commercial projects, that's exactly what we do as well. So it's a good point. Okay, I haven't got much more to go actually, Paul. Just to run on to some numbers.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
If we're all right for time.
Yeah.
So what do the numbers look like? So yeah, I already mentioned we purchased for 440, and the fees, including stamp duty, came to 28. And project costs, including the conversion, building all the artwork, everything, was 225, which comes to a total of 693. And GDV was actually 750. We've had that valued now, and that came in what we thought it was going to be originally. So it was actually downvalued because of coronavirus and a few other things. So I think if it wasn't for the pandemic, it would have actually been more than 750. But anyway, it is what it is. We've refinanced 75% of that. So money left in will be just over 130, which means, well, achievable rent, we're actually getting 5,000, which is what we thought before we actually bought it. Well, to be honest, we actually thought we were pushing it a bit to get 5,000, but we've achieved that. And at the moment, the cash flow is 3,000, but when we refinance and get a new mortgage, that'll drop slightly to 2,750, which is 33 grand a year. It gives us 25% return on capital employed. So, you know, we kind of get our money out within sort of the 3 to 4 year window, which, you know, I'm happy with that. We've got a property worth 750. Everyone's got a different take on this. This is one of the things I love about property. Everyone's got a different strategy and a different take on what the numbers mean to them. You know, some people wouldn't, I think, invest in London or a deal like this just because it takes 3 years or so to get your money out. But this is one of the reasons I love working with investors as well, because, you know, we don't have all our money in this, which is good. Plus it's on our doorstep, this investment. So yeah, so there the numbers. Recapping on our original goals on this project, it was to create a high-end co-living house capable of generating 5k rental income a month. So we achieved that. We also achieved the 750 GDV, and we established C4 use and eventually got our certificate of lawfulness thanks to Greenwich planners. And I think because of the due diligence we did at the planning stage, we managed to maximize the size of the property and got these 6 bedrooms that we wanted and good communal space. And also we managed to raise the funds we needed to finish the job, which was good. Sorry, I pressed that too soon. Get back. I've actually just had an email from our solicitor this evening, from a lender's solicitor. We're due to get the funds in the account a week tomorrow, the 4th of December. So I'm so excited about that, because that really will be mission accomplished. So I'm excited to get to next Friday and see how that goes. And yeah, okay, so you've already seen a sneak preview of this slide. I thought while I'm on here, why not do a quick plug for our monthly property networking event, Rent to Rent Live. I know some of you have been to the event before, so it's great to see you tonight. And we've got a really exciting event, Christmas special on the 8th of December. Lucy and Steph Ingram are going to be joining us as guest speakers from Ride Property, who I'm sure a few of you will know. So that's going to be a great evening. We do structured networking. We've got guest speakers and also case study as well. And Des Taylor is one of our regular speakers talking about legislation and compliance. So if you don't have a ticket, Eventbrite, that's where it's at. And finally, just to say thank you. Thanks, Paul, for having me on. And if anybody wants to keep in touch or reach out to me, there's my contact details. And you know, if you've got money sat in the bank and you want to get a better return on your money, you know, let's have a conversation. You know, that's what it's about, isn't it? It's kind of sharing opportunities and creating a win-win. And if there's any final questions on the numbers or anything else, that'd be great.
Yeah,
that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Steve. That was a great presentation, mate. Loads of value there, so thanks for that. I've just got 2 questions for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
What percentage of the profits do you share with investors?
So on this one, it kind of got to the stage where we were due to start on site in January and I didn't have all the money to finish it. So I was talking to different investors. I was going on stage at different networking events and kind of showing the project, showing what the deal was, and doing quite a lot of posts on Facebook, just sharing with people the deal and actual numbers. And because we were so close to starting on site, I was offering 15% return on people's money, which I think is kind of stood out at the time. A lot of people offer kind of 8%, 10%. But we were just upfront offering 15%, and I just wanted to secure that money in the bank. So yeah, we got about at least 12 people interested in offering us money. 2 or 3 people offered us the full amount we needed, and other investors offered us smaller amounts. So in the end, for different reasons, we kind of went for some smaller investors in the end. Which has worked out really good for them as well. They're going to get the money back if they want it in the next couple of weeks. We've got another project coming up, so I'll give them first opportunity if they want to roll the money into that or get some money out.
Yeah, mate, I've got one here from Alex. Can you talk through how you calculated your GDV?
Well, gross development value. So I mean, that's for Rick Surveyor's valuation from the mortgage lender. So he's been to site and done his valuation, and that's what he values it at. Before we bought the property, when I was looking at a valuation, I was just looking at comparables, which is not easy to do because there's not many HMOs which have been sold. So it's very difficult to kind of value it in that respect. So I was almost valuing it on a 5-bedish family house, and what comparables are there for that of a similar kind of size and setting. There's no direct comparable. So I kind of came at 750, which was probably not that conservative looking back on it. It is what I hoped we would get. And before we went for our refinancing, don't know if anyone's heard of Property Data Online. It's one of the property websites. They do like a online valuation service. And I just typed in all the answers to the questions we ask. And they came up with a valuation of 875, which I thought was a bit balmy, really. I thought that was way too high. But anyway, I included that report in the project report we gave the valuer. Whether or not they look at that or not, I don't know. But at the end of the day, we got 750, which we'd originally kind of hoped for. So yeah, I was happy with that.
Perfect. Well, I think that's everything, Steve.
Cool.
So Steve's coming on as part of the Big Blue Rendezvous. It's just a series of lockdown lives that we're doing for the Blue Oak community. We've put all the videos so far into a YouTube channel. I'll just share the link there, as well as a WhatsApp group where I'll put all of the Zoom links in just to make sure nobody misses them. But Steve, thanks so much for tonight, mate. I really appreciate that. And I'll hopefully see you next month.
Great presentation.
Cheers, Paul. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, fun night. I'm all zoomed out now, so.
Right, well, enjoy the rest of the evening, everyone. I'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys.
Thank
See
you.
you all eventually live soon.
See you
Thank
later,
you.
Lydia. Bye,
Bye.
Dolly. Bye, Melinda.
This one, thanks a lot.
Cheers, guys.
Rendezvous.